like this quote. Speak from your heart and you'll never be wrong. Or something like that. You know, my quotes aren't always, but Nick fixes them though.
Yeah.
He finds the real ones and puts them up. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, producer Nick.
He knows what it is. I'm like, yes, I know this quote and blah, blah, blah. And then I go and watch the playback later and Nick's like,
That's not
let me just put the real one up and just put that out there.
Nice. So, are you ready to start this thing?
I'm so ready.
All right. So, welcome to Augmented Teachings, where we'll talk about the things that will inspire us to think better, feel better, and in turn be better. I'll be your host, Todd Michael Jackson, and I'm my co-host, Brandi Pagano. How you doing, Brandi?
You know, I'm so great. This is one of the highlights of my week. I'm so happy to be
I know.
here.
I was looking forward to it all day.
I
I'm
know.
Like, oh, we're going to do a podcast tonight. And I'm like, right on. So this is a lot of fun for us. And we get ideas out that we're excited about.
Mhm.
And people are giving us positive feedback, you know, and it's like really awesome that people are enjoying what we're saying and putting pieces together for themselves
Mhm.
to get an understanding of why we're here and what all this is all about. So today we're really going to bring that together and overcome some stereotypes. All right. Today's topic is heaven and hell.
Mhm.
And I think it's important that we get this straightened out. Me being an N.D.E researcher, where I've studied the testimonies of people that have died and come back. So I have that information. And you're a spiritualist. So you've actually connected to that God and that Jesus mentality. You know what I'm saying?
The Christ consciousness is what I like to call
the Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
You connected to that through meditation and through mindfulness and your different practices.
Right.
So we're going to attack this subject on two sides.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to start off here first. And we're going to start with heaven. All right. Because everyone wants to know, does heaven exist? Is it real? And I will tell you, heaven is our home. Heaven is where we're from. That's reality. This is the dream. This is the school. This is the classroom that we learn in. It just exists enough to fool us in these vessels. But that is home, and this is the dream. Heaven does exist.
Mm-hmm.
You want to add to that?
Well, yes, that's very true. And when you have certain tools and experiences and practices here on our, planet Earth, we can experience that heaven, and we can create part of a heavenly experience right here on Earth. And so that's why I practice my meditation. That's why I practice the tools that I practice.
Right. You can bring more of that energy into your world here. And that's what Jesus is talking about, that heaven is here on Earth.
It's not a physical place.
Right. It's not a physical place. There, it's easier to feel God's love because you don't have the vessels restricting you.
Right. And you're immersed in it because that's all there is.
That's all there is an ocean of love. And the second quote I have here is love, love, love. God is an ocean of unconditional love. So once you break free from this vessel and your vessel dies and you pass on over to heaven, soon as you break out of this vessel, you feel God's love immediately. God's love surrounds us. It engulfs us. It encapsulates us. And once you break free, you realize you're not meeting God. You're submersed in God. You are surrounded and cradled by God at all times. You hear God's music throughout the universe and all universes, all dimensions. You feel God's love and you hear God's music.
Well, I like to think of God as a frequency. And so heaven is a frequency.
It's a frequency.
And so I wanted to have this conversation. I wanted to ask you, so in your opinion, do you think that the higher you vibrate here in these physical vessels on this physical plane of consciousness, you have a better experience back in heaven, back at home because of the level that you're vibrating here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you read my notes, but
I didn't.
You did not, but that is what I have next.
Cool.
Is literally there's infinite levels of vibration. So everything's heaven is just like one place, and everybody hangs out and everybody's feeling God's love, and it's true, but there's infinite levels of vibration. So as above, so below, and so below as above. As you raise your vibration here on Earth, you ascend to higher vibrations back home in heaven. So there might be a situation to where you're a person that has love and compassion and acceptance and try to learn reason instead of dogma and judgment, and you reside with other people that have done the same. And then you'll have another person that decided to take on dogma and judgment instead of reason and acceptance. and they may come around, but they won't be at the same vibration.
Right.
And they'll go to where their vibration is.
Because like attracts like.
Like attracts like.
Mm-hmm.
And birds of feather do flock together here and above.
Right.
And the whole reason is why, well, okay, I'll be a lower version of myself and just hang out with lower versions of other people, right? But you become a better companion for God if you raise your vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we come down here and try so hard and work at it for so many lifetimes, is so to become a better companion for God. Basically, this is a classroom. We learn. We always return back home. A lot of people think of, well, if I'm not, a lot of the Christians will think if you're not Christian, you don't go to heaven.
Right.
Right. That means like whole countries would not go to heaven,
mm-hmm.
because there's some countries that have very little Christian population. There's like, single digit population of Christians there. 90% of the people are another religion. So all these people pick to be born there and aren't returning back home. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
If there's ever a chance we couldn't return back home, we would not go there at all.
Right. Because we'd never go somewhere where we couldn't come back.
We could not come back. Right.
And we're here to learn and grow. And so
mm-hmm.
our souls sign up for this experience.
Right.
And we wouldn't do that to ourselves.
Right. We don't come here to learn religion. We come here to learn love.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's through religion or just through our own experiences, that doesn't matter. It's just learning love is the important part, not how we actually do it, whether it be through a book like a Bible or just through genuine understanding and concern and consideration for others.
Mm-hmm.
Mindfulness.
Absolutely.
So I think we've kind of covered heaven in that aspect. It does exist, very much so. And God's love is unconditional. And
I do want to talk about, being here on planet Earth and experiencing heaven, because we can experience heaven or hell no matter where we are.
Yes.
And in my opinion, it all boils down to our state of consciousness. What we're focusing on.
Right.
Our state of being.
And even when people read the Bible, they can focus on the benevolence in it
mm-hmm.
and say, man, that's for me. I want to live my life like that. And then some people will take the scriptures or dogma that shows judgment or superiority over others. Mm-hmm. And they're like, that's for me. And they're going to live in judgment and ridicule of others. And they're not going to be as happy, because as you find anger and hate, you find unhappiness.
And it lowers our vibration. And so we're putting that frequency out there, and then like attracts like. So we're going to have more experiences mm-hmm. that are going to match that, mm-hmm. that separation, that hate, that anger, whatever that is. Right. And that's what we're going to be putting out there.
That's what you put out, and that's what you receive.
Mm-hmm.
Because it works in cycles. As you put out negativity and judgment, that negativity and judgment comes back to you.
Well, we live in a cause and effect universe. Mm-hmm. So for every cause, there's an effect.
Right.
Exactly. Eventually, at some point,
right.
Whether it's instantaneous or, the more you vibrate at a certain frequency, mm-hmm. eventually you're just going to be stuck in that.
Right.
Unless you have the tools to pull yourself out.
And sometimes you can't. Sometimes whole families are stuck in that vibration mm-hmm. of judgment, just to help their own egos and self-esteem rise. Right. They push other people down, and they get into that mentality, and it's hard to break that cycle.
But that's usually a younger soul, right?
And sometimes there's families of younger souls. Mm-hmm. There might be one or two that are like, no, that's not for me. We don't live like that. But sometimes it's hard to break that cycle, mm-hmm. especially when it's put upon you to have this judgment. And a lot of times it's horrible, because they're like, we have this judgment in the name of God. It's like, no, you have this judgment in the name of religion, because God is love.
Exactly.
And you can't have judgment in love. Mm-mm. So you're not doing it for God. You're doing it for religion, and religion and God are not the same thing. Religion's interpretation of what God is.
Well, there's love and fear. And so anything that is mm-hmm. opposite of love is in fear.
Right.
Because it's fear that we're separate. Mm-hmm. And that there's something wrong.
Right. And so we're going to go through hell, because hell is something you can experience hell here. Mm-hmm. Just like I give the story about the couple sitting on the beach, right? They're sitting on the beach, drinking pina coladas, and they have the binoculars sitting on the sand. They're looking mm-hmm. at binoculars, looking at a volcano, mm-hmm. And they see the lava running off of it. Like, oh, beautiful. We're on our 5th year anniversary, and we're just enjoying the whole sight and sound, the atmosphere and everything. Mm-hmm. And then off in the distance, they see some guy running towards the lava and jumps in, right? Mm. Somebody's experiencing hell, the guy who jumped in, because he's having his flesh burned off him. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 people that are just enjoying same place, different experience.
Right.
What you put yourself through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because everybody thinks that God created or somebody, devil, whoever, created something called hell where you just experience bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but it's our job to experience. God's the creator. We are the experiencer.
Mm-hmm.
We decide what we experience. So once you leave this vessel, there's nothing but God. That's all there is. God is everything and everywhere. There is no place for hell to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if this ocean of God, this unconditional love, this ocean of God exists, and this whole universe fits within it, and every universe from every dimension fits within it,
Mm-hmm.
where's hell at? There's no place for it to be. You know what I'm saying? So we look at it that way, and God won't create that because God doesn't even know what hate and punishment is. God's love is unconditional. But so many people think, no, God's a judgment God. No. So many humans throughout history have tried to impose their dysfunctionalities on God.
Well, and that's the illusion of this dream. Right? Because when we pull ourselves out of this dream, there is nothing. There is none of that.
Right. There's none of it. And we remember, I was supposed to learn this and this. Totally missed the mark on that. Right.
Get to do it again.
And that's one thing I realized too, when I read N.D.Es, is that people, as soon as they pass over, like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot everything that I came here to do. Or I remember exactly what my purpose was as soon as they pass over, because this vessel confuses us and it kind of restricts our soul's ability to communicate with spirit. At times. For most of the time.
Yeah.
You learn skills to deal with that and to adjust and calm the vessel down, shut it up for a minute so you can actually connect to spirit. Mm-hmm. One of the things that a lot of Christians believe is that whenever we do something wrong, it's a sin, right? Mm-hmm. And therefore those sins need to be punished. First of all, there's no such thing as a sin. Man created this term sin to make it to where it's unexcusable unless you go through the church. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. We make mistakes. We don't come here to be perfect. We come here to learn love. So we're supposed to make mistakes. These mistakes are building blocks for our soul's development. Mm-hmm. The first time you're here on this planet, in your very first body, you're going to make a bunch of mistakes. And hopefully the next time you make a few less mistakes. And the next time a few less mistakes. So by the time you're here 20 times, you're making far less mistakes than you were the first time you were here. It's not a judgment situation. We're here to learn, and God lets you take as many times as you need. There's nothing that's not forgiven on the other side. We come here to learn, and we're here to screw up. So we learn not to screw up. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point. It's not like it's a sin and you have to go through all this. No, it doesn't work that way. We're here to mess up and learn love as the outcome. Because sometimes to learn love, you have to screw up a lot. You have to be very selfish and self-centered and judgmental and hateful to learn these mistakes you make. Then when you return back home, you realize, okay, I made these mistakes. I have to do this differently this time. Mm-hmm. And then you'll make some other mistakes. I would do it differently this time. Right. Just with like prejudice. If you're prejudiced against African Americans, I need to come back African American to correct this. Mm-hmm. I need to be in the culture and understand. Not only do I have to be in the culture, I have to be in the culture where I'm being prejudiced. Prejudiced people are being put around me, right? So I can learn faster, and a soul will take that challenge on to learn that. Mm-hmm. So, not only is there no place for hell to be, because God's ocean is everything, and we reside within that. When you return back home, you have no body. So even if there was, say, well, it's gonna be made somewhere else, there's no body to burn. Mm-hmm. Right. You can't burn. And the funny thing is like when you go back home and you realize your body's gone and you're free of all that mental pain, physical pain, everything, your tiredness, all that's gone away. And you return and you realize that was just crazy thinking. The thinking that we're going to, I'm going to like burn is like, no, there's just
be tortured forever. Be tortured forever.
And you're like, I'm literally just backstroking in love right now. Yeah. Just
But that's just fear. That's the
It's
fear
fear.
that's been instilled in
Right.
humanity.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why we come
Unfortunately.
here, is because there's no strife back home. There is no
Mm.
have and have nots.
Mm-mm.
There's no pain. There's no suffering. And it takes a very long time for a soul to learn unconditional love in an atmosphere where there's no struggle.
Mhm.
Here, it's much more difficult. So we come here as like an express lane for learning. If we can do it, if we can learn unconditional love here, we can make it anywhere, because it is much more difficult.
Right.
And many souls never come here.
You just read my mind. I was
Right.
just waiting to say that.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
not all souls will sign up for this experience.
No. And I think when people realize, yeah, God's like, you're going to go there for me. You're going to go down there to develop your soul to be a good companion for me. Then he's not going to punish you if you aren't as perfect as you would like to be, because you're doing it as an act of love to come here and run these trials and tribulations to learn compassion. God does not punish you if you weren't as successful as you wanted to be. Simple as that.
Right. And
I think a lot of people have to realize is that the Bible was written for the old cycle. The old cycle. One thing about God is God's not stagnant. God's alive. And God runs in cycles with vibrations. God raised the vibration here 2012, December 21st. That new cycle started and the vibration increased. That book, as we go farther and farther into this new cycle, this book becomes less and less needed in this new cycle, because we're going to find new ways of connecting that aren't reading about somebody else connecting.
Right.
We're not going to read about Jesus walking the walk of love. We're going to find our own ways of walking the walk of love.
Right.
And compassion through skills that you've learned.
Exactly. Because we are, as a, just humanity as a whole, we are more enlightened because there are older souls that are incarnating now.
Right.
And they're talking about this. They're teaching. We are teaching about this. We are talking about this.
Right.
We have the tools and the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding that we didn't have before. Right.
And that's why a lot of the people that were ingrained in that old cycle, the boomers and even Gen Xers like myself, they don't see eye to eye with millennials and Gen Z, because they're like, why are they so working together? Why are they so for everybody? Isn't it about your guns and your taxes and your freedoms? Well, it's all about me, my. Why they have this we mentality? Are they socialists? No, they're altruistic, and that's what we are back home. We are altruistic. We put the needs of everybody equal, and that's why there's such a disparage within the generations. But we learn, and we come around, and our job is to find love for ourselves, within ourselves, and for all.
You know the best way to do that?
How's that?
Be love.
Be love. Right. And spread it wherever you can.
Because when we know that we are all one, we are all from that same source, why would I not be love? Why would I not do my personal best to be that love that I am in heaven right here, right now?
Right now. Right.
It doesn't mean that I don't, fall out of alignment sometime, because I'm human, right? I'm here developing my soul.
Sometimes we get cut up on the freeway, and it happens momentarily, but we bring ourselves back.
Right.
Bring ourselves back.
And that's why I'm grateful for the tools and the wisdom that I have to pull myself back in alignment. Right. And having these conversations really helps.
It does help. Hopefully it helps you too.
Yeah.
So know that you're not here to be judged. You're here to walk the walk of love. So always have love and laughter in your heart, and keep moving forward. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.